Welcome back to the Movie Pit. I know I mentioned during my last review I was going to do a 3-part review on the Evil Bong series, but that's going to have to wait for right now. I just saw Human Centipede 2 this past weekend at a local independent theater, and since this film sparked such controversy, I thought I'd give you my views on this film. First off, the film is about Martin, a mentally disturbed loner who lives with his mother in a bleak housing project. He works the night shift as a security guard in an equally grim underground parking complex, and to escape his dreary existence, Martin loses himself in the fantasy world of the cult horror film The Human Centipede first sequence, fetishizing, not fantasizing, the meticulous surgical skills of the gifted Dr. Hayter, whose knowledge of the human gastrointestinal system pretty much inspires Martin to attempt the unthinkable, his own human centipede, this time with 12 subjects. So with this film taking on the idea that the Human Centipede is just a movie, it is a strange turn in the franchise, and the premise of this movie, having a movie fan blurring the line between reality and fiction, has started an uproar against this movie and was a reason for it getting banned in a few countries. Granted, there are many more reasons why it was probably banned, and I'll get to those in a few. I really like director Tom Six's idea to make this film in black and white. It makes the overall tone of the film unsettling, as if the plot of the film wasn't unsettling enough, though. For a good portion of the opening, Martin just spends his time collecting his specimens while mutilating his genitals. You have to watch to understand. But then at one point he just kind of snaps, and that's when the shit really starts to hit the fan. If you saw the first film and thought it was too over the top or disturbing for you, all I have to say is you haven't seen anything. This is one of the most graphically vile films I've ever seen on the big screen, and it is grotesque in a way that only horror fans will enjoy. To the point that at the screening I was personally at, people were walking out of the theaters, one even fainted. I thought it would have been like a really good publicity stunt if I hadn't actually seen it myself. Bottom line, this film is just like a true test on your stomach, and the film doesn't pull any punches. The character of Martin doesn't care if you're male or female, young or old, pregnant or not pregnant. He just wants to be like Dr. Hayter in the movie, and that's what he strives to become. Now, obviously, this is a bit of a turn from the first film, like I said, but I think it really works. And with it being that new type of movie, it is shot completely different. There are lots of close-ups on eyes and whatnot, and as well as many far shots. And to make Martin seem even more menacing, he does not speak through the entire film ever. He just makes strange noises, kind of like what you hear from Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. Like I said earlier, the premise of the film was probably enough to get it banned in many places, but it's really the graphic nature of the film that really did it. Because me personally, I love ultra-violent movies, and I love movies that are scary and terrifying without violence, but I love gore. And this movie put it on the screen like I've never seen before, and it isn't like some movies where the violence gets to the an extreme point and then the camera cuts away for effect and you see like the killer or the victims in the background. In this movie, when like the highest level of extreme violence comes, they stay on it and then they really amp it up. So if you're not into that type of thing, you won't like it. And if you saw the first film, you know about how they're all connected ass to mouth, and so they're all one unit. Martin doesn't have the surgical skills of Dr. Hayter, so he doesn't know how to sew them up, and you'll see his mistakes and then his improvisations, if you will, because if he can't surgically stitch them together, his alternative is to use a staple gun. And if you remember the first film, that only the one in the foot can eat and the other ones have to eat fecal matter, that part in this movie is really disturbing, and that's mainly when people started leaving the screening of the film. I loved the first film, and I love this film because it is completely different. The style of this film actually reminded me of Lucio Fulci's Cat in the Brain. And if you're not a Lucio Fulci fan, you probably won't get the reference, but if you are, you will. But make no mistake about it, this is not, and I mean is not, a film for the casual horror viewer that just wants to go see something new to get a new experience. If that's what you are not going to like this movie. And you really won't like it, especially if you have like high moral values. This is strictly for your diehard horror and gore fans and those numb to the sight of extreme graphic violence. I have to say, Tom Six has definitely made his name as a horror gore maestro, if you will, and I really can't wait to see what he's done after he finishes his Human Centipede trilogy. And yes, there is going to be a third one set to come out in 2013, Human Centipede 3, the final sequence. Thank you for watching this review, and stay tuned for more.